Hey everyone, this is Phi. Checking out Ciphercell. This is a game I've not played before, but we're going to give it a playtest and see if we can give some useful feedback. I've got the game page open here. It says about the game. Ciphercell is a minimalist logic puzzle game where you slide cells together to perform arithmetic. The objective is to get the last cell to 0. Smaller numbers get added to larger numbers when slid in that order. Conversely, larger numbers subtract smaller numbers and equal numbers cancel each other out. Key features: easy to learn, hard to master, hundreds of levels, multiple solutions, relaxing and soothing experience, ambient soundtrack. It's got some links here, you can follow the project. Anyone watching, if you want to check that out, you can check out the link in the description of this video. Looks like the music's getting quite loud, I'm going to have to turn that down a bit. Hopefully that sounds reasonable to anyone watching. A very common problem I encounter when playtesting people's games is that they tend to have the music, sound effects, whatever, a lot louder than is necessary. I end up having to turn my volume down to like really low, but I always suggest, open up some other games you might have installed, maybe get an idea of the volume levels that are kind of more average. Of course, there's no standard convention for that, but let's get into this game. So I've not seen anything past the screen here. Looks like the music is fading out at this point. It's a bit nice though. I kind of like that kind of ambient soundtrack with puzzle games like this. I think it's been a while since I played a game that had that kind of music and stuff. It's kind of cool. Has a cool feeling to it, and I appreciate. So we got some buttons here. I don't know. This is sort of mobile-esque. I don't know if this is perhaps intended to be in an app store at some point. For now, this is on PC, obviously. We got volume, music, sound, levels, resolution, full screen. We got a little button over here. I don't know. Okay, I can click that on and off. Seems fine. We got feedback, wish list. Okay, so that opens up a web page. Might want to have a little warning that this will open a web browser. If you don't have one open, that can be kind of annoying. Like some people have 800 tabs and it's gonna like, it's gonna take all this time to open up everything and etc. I'm assuming this is like exit the game. Well, let's go ahead and click on the start button and see what we can get into. So it looks like we can select anything we want, I guess. I don't know. I'm just gonna go ahead and start with number 1. So apparently, we get a little hand. What's this to click and drag? Oh, okay. Yeah, so the most immediate thing I noticed, I like the little hand that popped up. It's sort of like, it seemed like it didn't restrict me from interacting with the game, but it still took a moment to have like a little visual that showed me what to do. So I kind of like how that felt, but also I noticed that when you click and drag, there's not any visual indication of what's happening. Oh, so that just does nothing if you go into the empty space. Interesting. There's a little sound effect that sounds a little quiet, especially compared to the quite loud music, but yeah, so I'd like to see, like, when I click and when I drag, I want to see some kind of visual indication of like what's going to happen when I'm going to let go of the mouse button, that kind of thing. Instead it just kind of shows nothing. So I wasn't thinking about this, I just kind of did it, and it kind of worked out. So yeah, I can see that this is going to work out. We got a little, I guess that's like an undo button maybe? If I do that I can undo. Can I just do that as much as I want, or? Alright, this is interesting. So if you have diagonals like this, apparently you can't actually complete this. Is the fact that you can't slide these over. It's interesting. It seems like it would be possible. I mean, it seems like it would be intuitive if you could just slide these over to like an empty space and it would just hit the wall or something, but I guess that's just not intended as part of the game here. So that's an interesting thing to take note of. It looks like you can only undo once, or one move. So, looks like what we're going to want to do is this sort of thing. It did say it seems to matter, so if I do this, it subtracts. If I do this, it adds. I don't think this is explained on the game page, but it's not really explained in the game here in any form, so I wonder if there's a way you could do that to, you know, teach the player that instead of them having to figure that out through experimentation or something. I think that would be quite difficult to realize, like, what's happening. So not sure how exactly you might go about that. You could even just, just put text on the screen or something. I know, like, this minimalistic kind of game, people tend to be like, oh, I don't want to make anything explicit. It has to be intuitive and all this kind of thing. Like, you can just put it's not going to hurt anyone, I promise, if you just put the text on the screen. I'm not making any accusations here for the developer. I'm just, I've seen a lot of people's projects, so I know how people tend to think about things. But it looks like we got, so this, yes, this is a case where you have to be kind of careful because we can't do the diagonals as mentioned before. So, like, if I slam these together and then slam these together, I'm going to get a different result, as I was just talking about. I'm not entirely sure. I guess if I do this and then do that and then do that, that should work, right? Yeah. So maybe you could argue that puzzle would help teach the player how that works, but in my opinion, I think you should make it more explicit. So I think it's like this. Alright. End up having to do math in your head. It's not what I came here for. I came here for video games. So the big one and the small one subtract, so I can't do... Oh, I think I can do it like this, and then like this. Makes sense. Alrighty. Alright, so I have to keep... It takes a bit for my brain to work out, like, which one is subtracting, which one is adding. I have to stop and consciously think about it. It's not really automatic anymore. Like, moving the big one to the small one is going to subtract, and the small one into the big one is going to add. I have to, like, try to stop and focus to get my brain to work that way, I guess. It's not an intuitive concept, I don't think, but it is simple, I suppose. I don't know how to get started in this one. We got... The good thing is I can just kind of mess around, and whatever doesn't work, it's not going to hurt me anyway, but I know that I can do this, but it leaves the 2 here, and that's a problem. So this obviously isn't the solution, but I guess rather than thinking, you could just do random moves and see what happens, right? Sometimes it might just work out. This is, obviously you can't do this kind of thing with these diagonals. So, let's see, we've got... I feel like I have an extra 2 here. There's going to be another way to manage that. Oh, okay, yeah, so if I do this, then I have to go back this way and then forward. Alright, we got some zeros on here for some reason. I guess they kind of work as, like, if these were empty, then I couldn't, for instance, move this 3 over here. So that's interesting. Wait. That doesn't work. I don't think I want to put that in the heat. Wait. I could do this. Ah, yeah, that makes sense. Then this way. Just doing random things. This into this would make it bigger. Yeah, that seems to be the way, right? We want this to go smaller, and then this. That doesn't work. How do we do that? I think. Can't do this either. Wait. This is weird. Oh, that's not. It does work. Okay, I had it backwards. I thought that was gonna. I was gonna make a diagonal situation there. So these will zero out if I connect them. Go to 1. Looks like you can just click around the edges of the square also. Oh, maybe that was... Yeah, you can do that. Okay. This is not helpful. Wait. I don't know how to do this one. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea. Start like this. I guess. I feel like just kind of figure some of these out through sort of experimenting rather than working it all out beforehand, I suppose. So we got a bit of a color change. I don't know if that means it's like a different set of levels or something. Harder ones. We've got more numbers on the thing. The more numbers on here, it definitely feels like it's more overwhelming to actually like wrap your head around it rather than, I guess, like I said before, kind of figuring it out through experimentation. Oh, I think this will work. Be careful minding the diagonals here. I think your brain can start to work out some sort of rules, I guess. If you see certain patterns or whatever, then you can make some kind of assumptions about things you should and shouldn't do and that kind of thing. Like dealing with the diagonals, it limits the moves you can make, and like when you see pairs of numbers and stuff, you can immediately say, okay, you can kind of you can kind of like box them together and put them in part of your brain as like, these are things you can cancel out. Different things like that, so you can you can start to tell how your brain starts to, I guess, wrap itself around this kind of puzzle and start to understand it better, I guess, which is interesting. We've got odd and even numbers too. This doesn't seem like a solution. Oh, that doesn't add that. I was like, 3 and 3 is 6. But I can do this, right? Alright, so it occurs to me, I don't think I'm going to get much more out of this in terms of other things I can comment on for feedback. It is interesting to keep playing the game. But I assume there's not going to be any new mechanics or anything new presented to me, so I assume it's just going to get like harder and harder puzzles with the same exact mechanics that we have here, which is fine. I mean, it's very simple, and I wouldn't say it needs more mechanics. Might be interesting if you thought of something else you can introduce, like, you know, down the line. It would be after the player gets like really used to doing these kinds of puzzles. I guess you might want to, you could throw in another little twist or something, but I'm not sure that I would say it's necessary. It's one of those things where it's hard to say, like, would that actually make it better, or just make it too complicated? I think you'd have to experiment to find out. But I think, yeah, the the biggest thing that stands out to me is just some of the visual feedback in terms of like when you click and drag on this, it's really, it doesn't make a big deal or a big difference, but that's one thing I would add. And then apart from that, I think the gameplay itself here is so simple. There's just not much else to comment on. It does definitely work as a pretty functional puzzle concept, and I think it's reasonably engaging and works your brain a little bit, and that's pretty cool. So you know, you could have more music and whatever else. The visuals are very basic. It's not really necessary to do anything else. I don't particularly like this white background, I guess, with this particular color scheme here, but start feedback wish list. We've got, I don't know what. Oh, so it doesn't really give me an idea of which ones I completed or anything, so I guess that would be something you'd want to add. I don't know where I was in progressing here. I guess I was on the 15th one. It looks like it just happened to be here. I don't know, maybe this is the last puzzle, or maybe I'll unlock more. Let's see if we can find out. It's interesting how you have to collide the zeros at the end. But I guess that was actually the last level, so it actually brings you back to the screen. So presumably they don't have any other levels built yet, but yeah, so that was pretty straightforward but interesting. Like I said, it'd be nice to have some kind of progression indicated here. I wonder. I guess you could end up with a pretty good amount of different puzzles with this. I mean, there's a lot of numbers you could choose and 9 different slots in here, so I don't know exactly how that works out for like what the theoretical number of different possible solvable puzzles are that you could have here, especially ones that aren't like completely brain dead. Like you don't want like this kind of puzzle past the first few ones. But yeah, I do wonder like how long this game could keep somebody occupied if they were to, you know, if they really decide they like the game and they wanted to spend their time playing it for, you know, a while. Of course, any puzzle game like this has to have a point where it ends, but yeah, I guess I would just be curious without adding any other features, like how long you could stretch this out and it would still be interesting. I don't know, but I think that's about all I can give for feedback. Very simple game, and I think it's effective, so hopefully you found that useful, and I'll see you in the next video.